Hey everybody, today is Teach It Tuesday and we are going to be going over a very cute boyish kind of unisex pattern, but it's really cute for boys. I'm super excited, but before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because anytime we post a video, which we post a new video every Tuesday, you don't want to miss out, and YouTube will alert you if you hit the notification bell. And if you subscribe to our channel, YouTube will tell you anytime we post a new video. So we may post new videos on a different day other than Tuesday, just like a special video. You don't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. All right, so this pattern we're featuring today is the Ice Cream Pants by Brindille and Twig. This is super cute. You can do two-tone, you can do the same pattern, print, whatever you want to do. I'm doing two-tone. I am doing a stripe and a print, and I'm super excited to do this because we are expecting a little boy next spring/summer. I'm super excited to start making all the boy stuff because I have a daughter and that's who we typically make stuff for, and so now I'm really excited to start making boy stuff. So this is one of the first, well, this is the second pattern we've done since we found out we're having a boy, so I'm super excited to show you guys about this pattern. So Brindille and Twig, make sure you click the description down below. It should be over here actually. Make sure you hit the description. There's an arrowhead, click the arrowhead, and all of the links will pop open, including where we get our fabric from. I think this fabric that I'm using today is sold out, unfortunately, but we'll still link the shops. And then also the pattern link, if you want to know where we get this pattern from, we'll link it down below. You can just click it, go straight to buy the pattern. So, all right, let's get started. All right, so what you need, you're going to need, I'm doing a 0 to 3 month size here. I believe it actually goes up to 5 to 6 in this pattern. They're starting to add the bigger kid sizes. I don't think they have it in this pattern yet, but they probably will eventually. They're starting to add more bigger kid sizes, which is 6 to 7 and above, I believe. So look out for that. I don't think this is on there yet, but it does go from 0 to 3 months up to 5 to 6T. So that's good. All right, so you have the side panel here. You'll cut two mirrored images. It says one with pattern facing up, one with pattern facing down. That just means mirrored images, which means you cut on a fold, put the piece down, cut all around it. You'll get two pieces that are opposite images. And then this, you get two cut on a fold. This is the fold. It's kind of a wonky looking piece. It's really cool when we're done though. You have two of these cut on this fold. You'll need one waistband piece cut on a fold. You'll need two cuffs cut all around the piece here. Two cuffs, and then you also need knit elastic here. So I've already got mine cut. The measurement for the elastic length is actually in the cut chart in the pattern, so make sure you check that out. It's in like the first few, maybe page 6 or 7, I think. It's in the first few pages of the pattern, so make sure you do that. Got my stuff cut out. Waistband cut on a fold, leg cuff here, leg cuff. Go ahead and get everything situated. This ain't really trying to work. Leg cuff, leg cuff. I got one of those, another one of those. This is what it looks like when you open it up. I'm using this camo and this beautiful black stripe. And then you'll need two of these, which is the mirrored images here. And if you take note to the pattern, one says on this pattern here, the side piece, there is a back part and a low part, and the reason, or the front part. The front part is lower and the back is higher for the booty. So pay attention to that. All right, so you're gonna put these right sides together, and if you cut your fabric that way, you don't have to worry about it. And with stripes, you're gonna want to try to keep your stripes together. You may get a miracle today. Sometimes they don't line up, sometimes they do. It's just what it is. All right, and then so these pieces we're gonna open up here like this. Okay. All right, so we've got those right sides together. We got this piece right sides together. Our waistband, we are not gonna do the ham hot method. We are going to be doing just the ham, technically. We're just gonna be doing the hamburger. So you just do it once on the fold right there. And then you're gonna do it like this because you're gonna have to weave that elastic through this. So if you close it up like the ham hot method, it's not gonna work. So make sure that you just do the one thing here. Don't make it like a cuff. You can do your leg cuffs like a normal cuff though. So you're gonna fold hamburger and then hot dog. And here we go, like this. And you gotta do both of them. Well, I don't have pins here, so just gonna have to stick it together like that. Boom, boom, boom. Get everything situated. There we go. Okay, so we got our pieces ready to go, and we need to go to the serger. You can use a zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger on a regular machine. I like to do my construction zigzags at a 3.5 width, just because I find it easier when you pull the fabric when it's right side out, and you pull the fabric, the thread doesn't show. Always make sure you're using thread that matches your fabric, especially if you're not sure about the tension. All right, so what we're gonna start with is you're gonna start here on this piece. Those right sides together, here and here. So this is French terry, and this is actually rayon spandex. So I'm doing some fabric mixing here, and I'm also doing some print mixing. So this is really cute pattern to like super be creative. So I'm really excited to see how this is gonna turn out. All right, so we're gonna do our waistband here. We're gonna do this part and this part, which is really the crotch, the front and the back of the crotch, here and here. And then we're also going to go ahead and do this part here, and here. So you get to do the swoop of the crotch, the side seam, and the side seam. And we'll come back. And also we're going to do the cuffs here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with these little bitty leg cuffs here. I'm going to stick the folded edge in first. And if you guys want to see my settings, I've recently changed my settings a little bit. So hopefully you guys can see right there. This is set in between 1 and 2, closer to the 2. This one's set at there. You can probably see that one. And then I have this one set in between 5 and 6. My knife is on. And I have these set at 4, 3.5, 5, 4.5. So hopefully that'll help you guys. If you're struggling getting your settings right, that's what I've been using for a little while. So, all right. Okay, same thing with the other cuff. Folded edge in first. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, snip my tails here. Don't snip them too short. Okay, and then this is the serged edge. I'm gonna go ahead and snip my point here, so when I add it to the leg, I have something to go on to pin it to. So there's the cuff right side out. It's so tiny and cute. It's been a while since I've made itty bitty baby clothes, so I'm super excited. All right. Also, we did just drop a video sharing the name of our son. We debuted the name, so if you want to go check that out, it's Recaptured Family Values. So go check that out, and you'll get to see what we're naming our little boy. We're so excited. So there's the other cuff. The next part is this, the leg pieces here. So we're doing the side seams here. Side seam, other side seam, and then we'll do that crotch curve. All of this is right sides together. Don't forget that, because you want your seams to be on the inside of the garment when you flip it out. Alright, remember not to cut those tails too short. Then we're going to go around the curve here. And I've seen a lot of people mention that the curves are coming up, their curve seams are coming undone. Just make sure you're paying attention to it. I always like to cut a little bit of the seam off. Make sure you're not rushing your fabric through the serger. Also make sure that your differential feed is pretty tight around the crotch part, because you don't want the seam to pop and everything like that. So that's some good tips on how to do this. So just make sure you're paying attention and you're not pulling your fabric any type of way. You're guiding your fabric through around the curve, because sometimes it can be really easy to miss it when you're doing a curve. So just pay attention. Alright, cut your tails. Remember not to cut them too short, because it can cause it to unravel if you miss some of those stitches. So then that's how that looks. See the crotch curved perfectly sewn. All right, so now we're going to move on to this side panel pieces here. We're going to do the front pieces we put together. Remember, if you're doing stripes, try your best to get them lined up before you start sewing. You'll thank me later. Hopefully we get this right the first go around. You got to be really careful though, because they like to shift. Maybe we'll get lucky. Who knows? I always roll the dice with stripes. Sometimes I get like a unicorn garment and it's like the stripes line up perfectly. So don't feel bad if you're not getting the stripes right. Even people who are, you know, pretty good at sewing still don't do very good with the stripes. It's a hit or miss sometimes. All right, so we did both sides there and there. All right, so there's that. We got that side done and that side done. Move that over to the side and then do this one final piece on our cuff, and we'll go back to the table to see how we piece these all together. All right. Before we do that, actually, I can go ahead and add the cuffs because I know where they're going. So I'm going to quarter up my waistband too. You quarter up your waistband. So this is the folded edge. Make sure you make 2 points there. Fold your waistband together. Make sure you got that seam going the same way. Fold it on itself like that. And if you need to pin it just to keep it together, go ahead and pin it on that seam to keep that seam straight. And then you're going to grab where you just snipped. Well, I think that's the spot. Okay. Grab where you just snipped on the opposite edges of that seam, and then line it back up with your seam, and you'll get your side points. So just make sure those raw edges are lined up when you're snipping, because you don't want it to be moving too much. Okay, so lined up, so you snip there. Boom, boom. And then I'm gonna put that back together and then follow it over here to this side. And then make sure I snip here, both sides. All right, so our waistband is quartered, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and add these cuffs. And now I'm realizing this might be a little difficult because the cuff stretch is, I used French terry for the cuff, so it's gonna be a little bit more difficult than I had imagined, but we can get through it. All right, so for the cuffs, this is the leg hole here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my seam right here on the inside of my leg. That's just how I like to do it. So I'm putting the cuff on the inside of this, and I'm gonna nest the seam, which means my cuff seam's going this way, and I'm gonna put this seam going this way. Just makes it easier to sew. All right. And then I'm gonna come over here to my cuff, and that snip that we made on the opposite side of the seam, you're gonna make sure your raw edges are lining up. And then I'm gonna match that part up to this seam over here. All right, and so I'm gonna put it underneath my serger, and I'm gonna get started before I start moving it. All right, so I make sure that the thread goes through the fabric before I start moving it, because it'll just yank it out if you do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go around in the circle. For tiny cuffs, definitely do the inside. Put your foot on the inside of the garment and go around. That's the easiest way to do it. And just make sure you're removing your pins if you put them in there. So I put one pin in. And then I just like to use my hand to make sure all of these raw edges are still together, and I'm pulling that cuff ever so slightly just to line up and lay flat with the leg opening. Because the cuff will be naturally smaller than the opening. You'll have to stretch the cuff to match it. So I only used one pin. You can use more than one. You can use clips. You can use whatever you need to make this cuff stay. All right, so there we go. One cuff on there. Go ahead and tuck my tail. This is a Knitpicker. You can get it from Waywalk. We'll link that down below. really cheap. Might want to grab a couple of them. So then you see we have a cuff now added to the pants, and it is the cutest little teeny cuff. It's so cute. Okay, I'm super excited. Like I said, I have a daughter. We have a daughter, and now we're getting a son, so it's super exciting. I wasn't really sewing when my daughter was born. I started sewing after she was born, and so it's super exciting to get to sew all the little newborn stuff. I'm so excited. All right, same thing. The seam of the cuff I'm matching up with the inside seam of the leg, and I'm not going to use another pin. I just don't like to use more pins than necessary. But absolutely, when I was a beginner, I used all the pins, so no shame. Use what you need to use to get this thing to stay. Whatever will make you more successful, do it. All right. So remember, I like to put the needle through the fabric so that when I start moving it, it's not gonna like yank out from underneath the machine. Because that gets really frustrating. Okay. Remove the pin. And all the while, like I said, I am stretching the cuff inside this hole to lay flat on the opening. If you don't do that, the cuff will not fit. So if you've watched our bummy video, this would be where you could quarter something. Like I said, I just find that it's so small that I just use 2 points. You could use 4 if you need to, but I just use 2 because it's really tiny cuff. So, all right. So here's the leg part with our cuffs. It looks kind of silly, but that's the leg cuffs. All right, and then this right here. So you need to remember, this is the back because it's higher. This is the front. So we are going to go ahead and match up this right here. So match up these 2 seams that you made here, and then you're going to need to snip each side piece here. I'll show you in just a moment when I get everything lined up. All right, so you're going to do the snip right here and right here, okay? And then also you're going to need to snip in the middle right here. So you can fold this over, and you can do this when you're cutting the pattern out if you want to. I like to just go ahead and do it here. So then you're going to snip right here in the middle. All right, so then this part doesn't have a front or a back. It's just whatever you want it to be, but this part does. And so like I said, you would see, so you know, this is the back here. So when I do this, I know that that's going to be the back. So I just need to remember that. All right, so we are going to put this one, we're going to flip this right side out like this. Okay, and then we are going to push it into the garment. It'll feel really weird, but it is what it is, okay? So this one's inside out, and this is right side out. And we're going to open this up. And because it is tiny, it's going to feel super weird. But all right, so we're going to match up this point here with this seam here. Oh yeah, and did you guys see those stripes? Look at those stripes, y'all. Oh, I did it. Okay. Go ahead and match up that point with that. Push that in there. And like I said, it's going to feel super weird, but it will be beautiful in the end. It's like a sleeve. You know how it doesn't look like it's going to fit, but you make it fit? Same way. All right, so that side point that we snipped on the black and white stripes, we're going to go ahead and add that to our seam here. Side seam, leg seam. All right, same thing here in the back. This point matched up with that back seam. Go ahead and mark that. And then last but not least is this one. Like this. All right. And so it's gonna feel really, really weird, like I said. And it's not gonna fit perfectly, especially if you're doing the smaller sizes. because the actual color part is going to be a little bit more. But what you're going to do is when you're sewing this on, you will just like a sleeve, you'll follow it along the curve, just like this, follow it along the curve, and it'll fit perfectly, okay? All right, so I'm gonna start right here on the side seam. All right, so this side seam here. And like I said, if you're doing a smaller size, just make sure your fabric is lining up. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and remove my first pin here. All right, so once I get that under the needle, that's when I'll go ahead and grab this point here. And I will go ahead and grab my fabric just to make sure that it's all lining up. All right, remove this pin here. And I will grab this side pin and slowly work my fabric into these curves. All right, once I get it all lined up, I can start sewing again. And again, like I said, if you need to use more pins, use more pins. I just like to make sure it's good when I start going. All right. Make sure it's all lining up. And so if you see what we did here, it's right sides together. If you haven't seen that yet, how we did the pattern inside each other like that, made it right sides together. So the seam is going to be hidden. Just keep going. Just make sure you're making sure those seams are together, both raw edges are together. Like I said, you'll have to manipulate it just a little bit. Just a little bit. It shouldn't be too hard though, to make the fabric go together. All right, we're on our last stretch here, our last little swoop. Keeping it together. All right, almost done with this part. Over where I started, snip my tail pretty long so that I can tuck it in and it won't fall apart. All right. Okay, so then you can flip this out like this. And we have our little pants. So let's turn them inside out or right side out and see what they look like. Because now we just have to add our waistband and our elastic and we'll be done. All right, and you'll know the front from the back because one of them will be higher than the other. Let me flip my little cuffs out. All right, so this is how they look. They are super cute little pants. And you can also top stitch this seam down if you wanted to. I think I will later. I will go ahead and top stitch this swoopy part down just because it is a little wavy and I want it to look a little bit more professional. So I'm gonna top stitch it down, and you can choose if you want the seam to go up and top stitch on this fabric or to go down and top stitch on this one. I'm probably gonna choose to top stitch on the camo just because I think it'll look better and not distract from the stripes. Okay, so now we're gonna add the waistband. So remember, like I said, the front will be lower than the back. As you can see, that's the back behind here, and then you're looking at the front. So go ahead and match up your seams here, the front and back seam, and you're gonna need to mark this point over here. Same thing over here. Mark this side. Boom. And flip it because I want to add my tag. So I'm going to flip these back right side out, inside out. So remember what side is the back. Always double check that. So this is the back because it's higher. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure my seam is together here on this waistband. And I'm going to add it to the side here. Oh, inside, sorry. So I've got my waistband here like this. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the right side here. Boom, boom. And I'm just going to walk this around and quarter it up. All right, so there we go. Got our waistband is now attached to the right side, inside of the garment. And I'm going to start right here. First, I'm going to make sure front and the back again. All right, so I don't have to do that because I remember I put the seam on the back. So this is where I'm going to add my tag on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get this up and ready. Of course, my tripod here is not letting me be great, but it's okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And the only thing you need to remember here is you need to leave a hole. So that means you're not going to close it off. You're not going to go over where you started with the waistband because you have to leave a hole to thread that elastic through. It's okay. Alright, so here's where we're going to add our tag. Go ahead and remove that pin and grab my tag here. Tags are from Tagtopia on Etsy. We can link that down below too. We love our tags here. That's what it looks like. And then that's what the back looks like. They're super great. Love these. Alright, so I'm just going to add my tag right here. In over that seam. That's how I know it's centered. I'm just going to hold on to it, and once it gets through the knife, it'll be fine, and you can leave it on there. Alright, remove your pins. And this cuff should fit because it's going to get smaller when we put the elastic, so you shouldn't have to stretch this at all. Alright, we're getting back to where we started, so remember, we're not going to close it. I'm going to leave about an inch opening. Alright, so I just pulled that through. I'll leave my tails kind of tight, or kind of short, sorry. Not too short, but I'm also going to tuck them in so that they don't get unraveled when I'm trying to put this elastic through. Took me some time to learn that because I used to just leave them or cut them really short, but then they'd become unraveled and it would just get in the way. So I like to go ahead and put my tails in just like that so that we have this opening here. I'm going to go ahead and cut these shorter. And then I'm going to go grab my elastic and we'll just thread it through. But it is an inch elastic for all of these, so don't listen to me. Make sure you view that if you missed that up. Inch elastic is what you need. Alright, so you're going to try to put that into the hole. I would have known that, I would have made the hole bigger, but inch should be fine. Alright, so you're going to pull it through. Move all your stuff out of your way. Pull it through and it should fit perfectly. That makes a lot more sense. Alright, so just make sure you're paying attention to the end of your fabric or the end of your elastic so you're not pulling it through too much. So you just bunch up your stuff, pull it, bunch it up. And there is an optional drawstring. I'm not going to do that. I like to do faux drawstrings, and I'll show you guys how to do that. All the while, I like to make sure that my fabric is not, or my elastic is not twisting and that it's going the same way. Because I've had that happen before and it's really annoying because you really can't fix it. I mean, you can, you'll just have to take it out and rethread it. But by the time you get to attaching your elastic together and then you notice it's twisted, it's really frustrating. So We're almost back to where we started. Alright, there is I pulled my safety pin out. I just made sure that all my elastic is going the same way and it's not twisted. And then I pull it out like this, and I'm just going to overlap it and go to my sewing machine and zigzag stitch over that just to secure it. So I'll be right back. Alright, so this is what it looks like when I've zigzag stitched it together, just to make sure that my elastic is put together. I'm going to go ahead and just clean up the little end pieces of string or thread or whatever you might call it. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull on my waistband to make sure all of that elastic then goes in to the pants. Alright, so then I'm going to go back to the hole, which is right here. I am going to make sure that the two camo pieces and the black white stripes are put together. I'm going to turn you guys this way, pull this up, and then I'm just going to close this hole. So pretty much I'm going to start a little bit in front of it, and then alright, close that hole. I'm going to go ahead and tuck these tails. I'll have two tails, one on each side where I had closed that hole. And then this side. Like this. Boom, boom. Alright, so now we're going to flip these cutie patooties right side out. And then I'll show you guys how to do a faux drawstring. I think I did it in the jogger video actually, but they are super cute pants. I'm so excited. Go ahead and pull these cuffs out so you can see. Look how adorable these are. They are super cute. And then you can tack what I like to do is on a sewing machine, I'll just tack this down. I'll stitch in the ditch, which pretty much means this stitch right here, I'm just going to go with the straight stitch just to make sure that this elastic doesn't flip on the inside. Have you ever gotten pants and they didn't do that to their elastic, and the elastic starts rolling and it gets twisted and it feels weird? Yeah, so just tack your elastic down, and I like to do it on that seam, and then I'll also do it in the front where we're going to add the faux drawstring. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this straight and then just kind of mark with my fingers exactly where I want this faux drawstring to go, which it will be on this seam here. So this is the seam, the front. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a pin right here just so I can, just for reference. So I'm back with my French terry fabric here, and I'm literally just going to cut. I'm going to estimate a piece here, and I'm going to do about 1.5 inches, and I'm probably going to do it about 10 inches long. Okay. And this absolutely does not have to be perfect. I'm using the wrong rotary cutter. Where did mine go? Oh, it's right here, hiding. Okay. I use that other one for cutting paper now, so that this one doesn't get dulled out quick. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm going to do for the drawstring here. And I did cut it on the grain line just because I found that easier. So let's go back over here to the serger. This piece here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it with the right side up. I'm going to make my tail, first I'm going to make a tail really long. So I make my tail really long, and I'm going to pull it. First I'm going to put this back right side up. And I'm going to put the tail on top in the middle of this. And I am going to fold it over like this, pull it, and go ahead. Make sure that this middle piece, your tail, is pulled over. And then just serge off the edge, all the while making sure that this seam, this tail that you have is in the middle. You don't want to sew over that. cut the tail that came off of here. And then with this one, you'll just pull, 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 pull. And it made drawstring, which is pretty cool. So then we have this cool piece here. That's gonna be our drawstring. I'm gonna go ahead and snip my tail. And then what I like to do, I like to go ahead and cut the edges here. Snip the edges, snip the edges. This might be a little too long. Let me double check. I'm gonna go ahead and tie the edges and then I'll double check to make sure it's not too long. So I just like to knot the edges here. Knot the edges. And then also with compliance, there are certain guidelines of your drawstring lengths. So make sure you pay attention to that. We can link a group below. And then that's the cute little drawstring. And let me just make sure I like the length. I do like the length. So that's how the length is going to go. I think that's super cute. And then I'm going to find the middle of the drawstring just like that. So I've got it folded here. And on that pin that I've made, I'm gonna go over here to the sewing machine. All right, so I'm at my sewing machine. First, I'm gonna go ahead and just like I said, top stitch this back seam down, and it's called stitch in the ditch. So I'm pretty much just gonna make sure that my needle goes in this ditch so no one can actually see that I did this. I'm just doing a straight stitch here. Back stitches on the edges, and as you can see, let me move that out of the way. You can't tell that I sewed there. So that just makes sure that that elastic doesn't move on me. And I dropped my drawstring. Give me a minute. Oh, goodness. Alright. So then you grab your drawstring. Make sure you find that middle again if you moved it or whatever. So you got that middle, and we've already pinned the middle where we want this to go. So you're going to put it down like this. And then you go ahead and remove that pin. And then put it like this. Make sure that it's flat where you want it to go, and then you'll just top stitch over it. Back stitch, and that's on there. All right, and let's go look at the finished product. All right. So then that's what our super adorable, cute little pants look like. And like I said, if you want to add some pizzazz to it, you can top stitch the little swoop part down. I didn't do it. I might do it later. But these are absolutely adorable. So those are the cute little pants. Ice cream pants from Brindille and Twig. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Hopefully this video will convince you that you need to be subscribed to this channel because we put out a tutorial for patterns every Tuesday. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, make sure to comment those below and we'll try to help you out. But that's all. See you guys next Tuesday. Bye.